Hello and welcome to today's Nexus report as we cover a couple series that took place in the LPL this morning, as well as an update to our minor region power rankings before LCP begins again tomorrow. So we had OMG IG 3-0 win by IG. Not a big shock here. OMG one of the lower ranked teams in the LPL outright, despite having an easier schedule than IG did. IG certainly have had their hands full, losing to NIP even after dropping out of that upper group, but there are players capable of dominating a series, and that's exactly what Rookie did, going 15-4 and 29. Fodak had a solo kill, 33% of the team's damage. Wei had a solo kill, 77 kill participation. They took all 5 Barons, averaging 3,383 gold, 11 out of 15 Drakes. OMG Haichao went 10-9 and 12, a team leading 73 kill participation. Starry, 27% of the team's damage in the loss. LNG and Team Wii. So you might say to yourself, really, LNG lost to Team Wii? Wasn't LNG like second in the power rankings yesterday and Team Wii towards the bottom in the LCK LPL? Yes, they were. But we also talked about how LNG were just dominating those piss poor teams at the bottom of the LPL, and I actually had nerfed them 128%, and they still were second. Which goes to show you just like they were literally second in every category behind Gen G. And it was like by a lot. It's quite crazy. Now they're playing tougher teams, and Team We handled them. It was more of the mid to late game in team fighting that Team We were able to come away ahead on this one. Because really, LNG took more Drakes, they took more Barons. Now with their Barons, they only averaged 2,000 gold. But Team We got 2,800. Team We would win this 3-1, by the way. Karis had 2 solo kills in Game 4 on Akali. 31, 15, and 21. About 27% of damage. Yao Yao, 73 kill participation. For LNG, 1XN went 37, 12, and 25 with 32% of the team's damage, missing 82% kill participation. The bot lane duo leading the way in the loss for LNG Esports, but took more Drakes and more Barons. And then usually that's a sign of, hey, you're doing the right thing, right? Objectives. We talk about it when we talk about the power rankings, segue into that. You know, if you're doing the right things, eventually it will result in wins. Controlling objectives, getting kills, taking turrets, etc. And LNG were doing that at a high level, but in the mid to late game, they would start losing some team fights and lost the wrong ones. And Team We were able to punish them and take some victories in the process. Now, for minor region power rankings, this includes LCS, LEC, LCP, and CBLOL. The stats we use is a tier ranking. The LEC is ranked as the top of the 4 based on international results last season. Then there is a slight nerf to LCP and a slight nerf to LCS beneath that. And then CBLOL, significantly lower. About 4 times lower than the difference between the LEC and LCS from first to third for perspective. Now, the other stats we utilize: win rate, kill death ratio, gold spent percentage. I talked about it yesterday. It's an interesting stat by oracleselixir.com to consider not just outright gold difference, but what are you actually spending? Because it doesn't matter if you have a bunch of gold if you're not spending it. Otherwise, it's in the pocket of a player, and it's not even there. It's really not even there. Then we have early game rating, mid game ranking. Should be it's MG. So that's nice to have as well. They have a rating system on Oracle's Elixir for these teams. I can't do it for LCK and LPL because the LPL does not have that stat on Oracle's Elixir. Drake taken percentage, Baron taken percentage, lane CS. It's a 50-50 to start the game, and who's taking more of the CS in that matchup, and then the jungle as well, a separate stat. So C9 are at the top. They move up 1 spot as we see Los Grandes drop like a stone from 1st to 14th. I know a lot of Los fans had a lot to say after they were first in the rankings. Oh no, don't put them here, don't hype them up, this and that. The stats had them first after a handful of games or so. After a couple weeks, they've fallen back down to earth. Now you may say, why are Loud 29th? Well, Loud haven't been like the greatest team this season in its entirety, and they actually dropped 5 spots since their last ranking. But Cloud9 have done quite well. Team Secret Whales very strong in the LCP, keeping the roster from 2025 essentially, 4 of the 5, and BA not being a huge drop off from Taki. CFO dropping off certainly helped Team Secret Wales as well. CFO being 15th, middle of the road right now. KC atop the charts for LEC, not a surprise. Red Canids, very good for CBLOL. Navi, Rylech, great rookie season thus far. Doing quite well. Doing quite well alongside Poby. And oh God. Maitner, right? Maitner's their top laner. Could be wrong. No, I'm pretty sure. So Navi, very good. Deep Cross Gaming, young team outside of Shaoxi, doing quite well. Koi, Furia, Vitality moved up a lot, 11 spots. Vitality playing quite well down the stretch. G2 moving up. Sentinels, very strong, third right now in LCS on here. You notice a big drop off from C9 to Disguised, though. It's really a one-team region statistically right now, relative to everybody else. Team Liquid and FlyQuest very close together. We see LEC 20th through 26th has 5. 5 of 7 teams in the LEC. Heretics, Fnatic, Shifters, Los Ratones, SK. We saw after Los Ratones did not make playoffs, I didn't believe they deserved to make it. You didn't win the game that you should have won against Vitality. You had your destiny in your hands. You threw too many games in the early part of the season. And those count just as much as the last game that you see from a team. Being disappointed a team doesn't make the playoffs is one thing, but then taking it out on other teams is something entirely different. They are not responsible for what your favorite team has done. It's just not the case. I think a lot of people are upset with KC maybe taking that game and using it as a scrim on stage. I advocate for scrimming on stage when you have nothing else to play for. We saw G2 do it in their heyday consistently, trying out weird drafts and things. Most of the time it worked, but sometimes it didn't, and I'm sure it affected the standings then, but nobody talked about it quite as much. So, as far as I'm concerned, take advantage of an opportunity to scrim on stage with an honest and good look from a team that you're against that will not have that luxury. They have to play against your scrim comp in an honest manner. They have to try to beat it. They can't just throw another scrim comp against it and hope that they win. For learning purposes. No, play it against a team that needs a win. And you get a lot of more value out of it. So I don't blame KC for doing that one bit. You got to win the games you're supposed to win. And that's the entirety of the season, hell, from start to finish. I had some people trying to say, well, the last couple weeks they did. Yeah, they did get better. Can't lose the first 4 games of a split. And then I'm going to be honest, I really don't like this whole, I keep seeing, it's a best of 1 split. Therefore, how could that be indicative of whether the team deserved to be in playoffs or not? It's more indicative than some random fuck on the internet saying that they should be in the playoffs, as far as I'm concerned. The results of the games are more indicative of literally pretty much anything anyone's saying. In the end, the standings are what they are. Should there have been a tiebreaker situation that it resulted in Fnatic, Shifters, and Los Ratones playing in best of 1 to determine which team of those 3 were going to make it? Yes. Everyone's focusing on Fnatic because they got in. I don't see many Shifter fans upset that Fnatic got in. I don't see many Los Ratones fans claiming Shifters should have also had an opportunity at that spot. I understand maybe main character syndrome, whatever the fuck, but theoretically, both Shifters and Los Ratones should have had an opportunity at that spot because I believe all 3 teams were 5 and 6 and went 1-1 against each other. But that's flying too close to the sun for some people, I'm sure. So, as far as I'm concerned, I look at it. What were the stats of those games out instead of just win rate? Because my power rankings use more than that, right? So, Los Ratones I have 10th. Now, the difference between 10th and we got 9th, 8th, and 7th, not that much, right? Because what we got, SK and Carmine Corp is the only two teams worse than Los Ratones statistically. I mean, they came back in a lot of games. Yeah, that's nice. That means they were doing great. Like, come on. Come on. It is what it is. It is what it is. So, as far as I'm concerned, they weren't a top 7 team or whatever, top 8 team, however many teams were supposed to get in. I don't even really honestly give a shit about how many teams, except that it is too many. So that is a thing. But regardless, Lion disappointing to start the season, but a lot of people condemning them. I did have something on Twitter about that as well. A lot of people talking highly of a team, and I'm okay with a Disguise or a Sentinels. People like being excited about a team. I'm not as upset about as much as like condemning a team. Even saying Los Ratones, for example, that doesn't mean their season's over. I could still see them winning EU Masters. What's to say they can't if they want to keep playing? Their season's not over in fucking February. And neither is Lions, neither is Disguise, neither is Sentinels. Nobody on this board, their season's over right now. So people jumping to conclusions, I think, is so silly. It's ridiculous. It's indicative of the current landscape we see in LOL esports of people just spouting shit and saying things. And then when they're wrong, there's nothing else to like say, oh, well, I guess I was wrong. It never really happens, and people get kind of like, oh, that's weird that you expect people to think that, to have to say that. And it's like, well, be accountable for what you think and say and learn from it. Hell, like my power rankings last year, somebody thought they had a gotcha saying weren't BLG third in your power rankings above HLE and T1 last year? Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were. And I adjusted this year's power rankings, so that probably won't happen again. Ran the experiment, and that's where they were. Now I'm altering it. This one I've altered as well from 2025. And I like where it's sitting right now. As far as CBLOL is concerned, because I know CBLOL people like to be separate, it's Red, then Furia, Los, big drop off to Loud, then VKS, Lev, Fluxo, Pain. There's a big drop off, and Pain's still in last place. How about that? So that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.